Hey, it says we're live.
Hey.
Hey, Joslyn. Hey, everybody. Um, yeah, hey, everybody. My name is Shakita Lewis, and I am the owner of Yayo's Wellness Garden, as well as a Reiki master teacher. Yay, me. Hey, Cam. Today I am doing a case study with the wonderful Joslyn Kelly. She is woo, she is the owner and founder of many businesses, but she is very well known for Jay's Breakfast Club in Gary, Indiana. And we are going to get started by introducing Jocelyn. I'm going to read part of her bio. I'm also going to share what I've seen her do personally in a short amount of time. And then we're going to get into how Jocelyn became a client of mine, um, what benefits it may have had, or what types of experiences she had. Hey Jay, what kind of experiences she's had over the course of maybe 3 months we've been working together, I want to say,
Yeah.
consistently over the past 3 months, and
January, going on 4 months.
almost 4 months. And I love Jocelyn, and just even we just gonna roll with it. I'm gonna tell y'all her bio because y'all gotta understand that this woman is a powerhouse. Just like all of my clients, everyone's different, but she is a pillar in her community. And after I read y'all bio, y'all gonna understand like, oh, this is the Jocelyn. That's what that's what it's gonna boil down to, because I think sometimes we live in not I think I know we live in our passion so much, and we feel the calling that God has on our lives, but sometimes we don't take a moment to understand that everybody isn't obedient. Everybody don't necessarily have the environment to cultivate the calling that God have on their life. And so not only do people like Jocelyn live in her purpose, she also cultivates space for other people to do the same, and whatever that may look like, and building a community, whether that's through entrepreneurship or encouragement and mentorship, all the things that come with it. Every bit of that counts, all of it counts, and it makes you amazing and brilliant, and you got to be reminded of that shit all the time, all the time. So, going into Jocelyn's bio, she is the owner of Divine Strategy LLC, which is a conglomeration of services focused on building legacies while converting dreams into reality. I told y'all she was cold. She tried to tell me not to tell y'all. Yeah, there was only one line, but I kind of had to say it.
You hit mute. You muted. There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah. I see what happened. Hold, please. Yeah, too excited. Okay, can you hear me now?
Hmm.
Okay. So that includes restaurant ownership, restaurant management, event planning, business development, consulting, as well as other things, because she really be out here loving people left and right. Jocelyn is from Gary, Indiana, and is committed to giving back to the community as much as it has afforded her the ability to dream, aspire to achieve, and ultimately achieving many of those dreams. So now, Jocelyn has opened her first location, Jay's Breakfast Club, in 2015, and has since moved into a larger location in 2017. And now she's about to break the ground for her very own facility in Gary, which should be happening this year, right, Jocelyn?
Hmm.
So mind you, this is the bio. People bio be cute, but they don't get to the nitty gritty, child. Let me tell you what I know about Miss Jocelyn. I met Jocelyn maybe, I believe your anniversary was in November.
October.
October. She had a anniversary, 6 years in business with Jay's Breakfast Club, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was invited by a friend, and I showed up. In the energy, y'all. Mind you, October is still real COVID-y, right? So it was, but I went in there with my kids, not knowing what to expect. So on the back end, I have friends in Gary or in surrounding Northwest Indiana who has told me about Jocelyn because as a vendor, before I start doing Reiki and energy work, y'all know I was slanging them with bodybuilders, child. They're still amazing. They'll be back on the website. However, there was like you should go to Jay's Breakfast Club and set up because she does this thing every Saturday for small businesses to come out and vend. And as a person who has vended for many years in many places, what I word on the street was Jocelyn got her people to come out and support. So you weren't just setting up for no reason. You weren't just setting up just to be cute or to pretend like you was doing something. You better be prepared for the sale. You better be prepared to make some money. You better be prepared because her people know about it. They showing up and they coming to support. And I always wanted to go. So on the anniversary, I was able to be there, and when I walked in, she was introducing the other small businesses. So that's another thing I noticed about Jocelyn too. When I'm around Jocelyn, it's never about Jocelyn. It's always about who's to the left of her, who's to the right, who's in front, who's afraid to speak up. It's been about speak your truth, like show out, show up and show out. Like, how can we connect? How can we build? And mind you, this is just a natural energy that I've picked up on her. So after talking with myself in the back, like, girl, you gonna go up there, what you gonna do? I decided because you gotta have team meetings with yourself when you're trying to talk yourself into something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to introduce my business because most of you guys know I'm out here in Maryville, Indiana, which is just 10 minutes away from Gary. And I was able to introduce my business and I felt comfortable with doing so, even though I was nervous. But Jocelyn was right there and supported me. And fast forward to her having a personal event for the best business owners in Gary, all of these elite women who are doing major things in the community, from smoothie shops to other skincare brands, wellness facilitators. You had doctors, lawyers, childcare providers like that didn't just have like a daycare. It's nothing wrong with a daycare, but these are people who have facilities and employees. And Jocelyn didn't know me outside of that one time I introduced my business and had invited me to speak. And I was like, oh Lord, she letting God use her a little bit too much for my liking because I was so nervous. And she created a platform for me to speak in my area of expertise, which is encouragement and sharing stories. And I had no clue how it was going to turn out. I don't even know why. Out of all the women that was in the room, like I said, doctors and lawyers and all these amazing grant writers, all these powerful women in there, she just seen something in me and gave me a platform to introduce myself and what I do in front of her kinfolk, pretty much. And so then that led to us working together in January. And what I've learned about Jocelyn too is that her space, her community space, is not just a breakfast club, right? Now, don't mind you, they got some bomb ass like salmon croquettes and stuff, and the food do be good, but her space is more than that. It's like it's a whole community. You know what I mean? It's a legit safe space. I remember one day I walked in there and everybody turned around and was like, "Hey!" I was like, "Yo, I need this in my life. I need these moments to be celebrated just because I walked through the door." I didn't have to do nothing to earn that. I just walked in there and it was love off the rip. It was, come on, sit down, break bread, let's talk. So to acquire Jocelyn as a client was very telling of what my purpose could possibly be, because I didn't just see someone who could benefit from my services. I seen someone who is building $1 million facility in Gary, Indiana. And most of the people on my timeline is from Chicago. If you know or follow me, you know I'm from Chicago, born and raised. And there has been a lot of talk about buying back Gary, or, contributing to Gary and bringing Gary up. But to meet somebody that's on the ground from there, actually doing it, creating a safe space, talking to the lenders, getting the funding as a Black woman, killing it the way she is, yeah, come on. You my client. Let's do this, okay? And to mean so much, to provide jobs, to encourage people, because the thing about having a community space is that what's not really talked about is the conversations on the back end. It's not about just coming there to eat or just sitting down. It's about, no, this is where I lay my burdens sometimes. This is where I'm being completely vulnerable and hope that someone sees me, or maybe this is my piece of this moment that I get to reclaim to myself, and know that no one around me is going to infiltrate or take away from me while I'm trying to be at peace with myself. And so as I grow into market to community leaders, educators, and entrepreneurs, it is my duty to offer these services to people like Joslyn, who I know you need it back. I know that this could benefit you. But in the process of that, there, for someone so strong, you know, you have to show that you really can support. You can't talk your way into supporting a leader and a developer and a community activist and someone who stimulates the minds of others. Like, your perception on people and things are just different. Your proof that this person is trustworthy is different. And so today we're going to get into how, Joslyn, what decisions did you make, based off of our interactions in which you were able to trust me. We're going to talk about how things have shifted over the past 4 months and what you've grown to learn on your own and accept the fullness, or parts of the fullness, because we're always evolving, of your greater purpose and who you are as a person.
Who are you talking about?
Oh, us. Us. So the first question is, with all the things that I just said about the amazing things you're doing in Gary, your influence, not to mention her mentor is Damon John. So, she kind of like elite out here in these streets, okay? Even with that being, if your mentor is Damon John, one of the sharks, founder of Fubu, and then you turn around and was like, you know what? Let me get a Shakita Lewis on the Reiki tip. Let me get some healing. I want to know what were the trust factors for you in becoming a client for me?
First of all, good afternoon. I got an echo. You got an echo?
Mm-mm.
Okay. First of all, good afternoon, everybody. I am Joslyn Kelly. Um, I am a person who deals in the now, or learning to deal in the now. But all my life, my gut, or that inward feeling, has driven a lot of the decisions that I've made. And God deals with me in a totally different way than I perceive him dealing with other people. Your reality is based off your perception, which is groomed by your experiences. And the key to all that is the choice and how you choose to look at those experiences, right? So when I get into certain spaces, I'm a real deep thinker. So you can say something to me today and I'll mull over it, and it probably won't hit me for a couple of days. But then there are other instances when I just get in a certain energy, a certain place, and it's just right. And you just need to lean into it. And I'm into that point in my life where I see things changing and I don't have all the answers. My name is Joslyn, not Jesus. So I'm not perfect by any means. But at the same time, I realize that life is a big old puzzle and each of us has a different piece that plays the part. And in that process, knowing my worth is easier to recognize the worth in other people. And what I mean by that is a jack of all trades, master of none. It took a long time to get there because before people would throw stuff at me and I try to catch it. Now I'm like, oh, that's not for me. But it was something about Chiquita in the initial meeting that spoke to my spirit, right? And so when she introduced her business and she talked about the building of oneself. And it was just something that I can't tell you the specific words, but it just connected with my spirit. And so every November, I celebrate a thing called Black Girl Magic, more specifically, Black Girl Magic Defying Odds. And so for well, actually, right before the pandemic, so since 19, we have been pulling together women who are defying odds. Black girl magic defying odds. And when I say black girl, I'm not necessarily meaning melanin. I'm talking about those with a light consciousness, or wanting to be better, do better, see better, be better, show up better, for themselves and everyone around them. And pulling these women into a common space so that we can pour into one another. And so as I was planning last year's session, the chicks or chic, the Black Girl Magic Defying Odds, Chiquita dropped into my spirit. And it was like, I need for her to impart into these people as much as I need her to pour into me. And so I just followed my spirit. And my spirit was like, you need to have her as the center of this event. Have all these activities of building, exploring. But for whatever reason, I was just moved to have Chiquita as the center focal piece of this event. Things don't just happen, they happen justly. Now, I can only speak to my own experience, and it provided some breakthroughs that I didn't even know I needed or even know that I was broken in regards to. So even the response of the other women in the room, it was just something amazing. And so that day will go down in my history, in my mental, as one of those days that elevation was occurring, you know, like attracts like. And Chiquita is part of that puzzle that's helping me to, one, be comfortable in my skin, two, be comfortable in those things that I'm gifted, appointed, and anointed to do, without fear, without guilt, without shame, without allowing others' perception to affect my reality, which is huge.
Yeah.
Um, so that innate thing that had me to have her come and be a part of the event kept nagging at me. And so we kind of talked about having a session, and I danced around it. And then I reached out again. And I think it was before the holidays. I had reached out and I said, you know what? We need to get together. And we set up a date. And I was like, I started being in my physical self, my the physical body. And I was like, ooh, I don't know if I can spend dollars in this way right now. And whatever happened, it was something you may have posted or something. And my spirit was like, nah, you can't afford not to. And so that's when I reached out again and we scheduled the time and I committed to being there. Not fully understanding, I still don't fully understand the art of Reiki, but I do understand the art of Joslyn,
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I've struggled with the majority of my life is being comfortable in my skin and understanding that I am talented, I am beautiful, I am worth it all, and anything and everything that I can imagine is my heart's desire. And scripture says he will give you the desires of your heart. And so what do we say? Grace abounds. And so standing in this season, knowing that my work is not in vain, knowing the valleys and the highs were not in vain. Um, I think about my son all the time, who I lost. Not necessarily lost. I'm not even gonna say that, because he's closer to me now than he was even when he was in my womb. He's in my
Hmm.
heart, my mind, and my soul, and he's continuously advocating on my behalf. So I didn't lose him, but I lost him physically, but I didn't lose him. He
Yeah.
committed suicide in 2014, but his last words to me were, "Mom, I love you, but I'm done living." And those words put something in my spirit that immediately caused me to love to live, because now I'm living for two. And we all know that life gets hard, and that's when you tie a knot in it and you live for those things that you love. And so every moment is an opportunity to do it better than you did the last, or learn from the experience that you had the blessing of overcoming. It may not be, well, I always say things don't just happen, they happen justly. So the path that we've traveled, we were ordained to travel that way, for it to make us the people that we are. And what Chiquita has helped me to do is to walk more soundly, to walk more upright, to be more conscientious of that walk and the things that surround me and the things that I need, and be okay with saying, I need it. Oh,
Yeah.
it's time for me to go lay down. It's time to go sit down somewhere. Or,
Yeah.
or it's okay. I need that bag, right? And it's okay to buy that bag, because hell, I work every day hard as I don't know what. And I have the means to get that bag. So I'm gonna get that bag. I'm gonna eat
Yeah.
or buy the shoes.
So even talking about that from a financial space, because I do promote that this is Reiki. Most of my clients will also, confirm that this is more than Reiki. So for people just joining, and the way that I assist clients is through a collection of learning multiple healing modalities, so it's never just Reiki. Like, I pull from my experience as a student of the Bible. I pull from my experience, my own life experiences in general, because niggas been through a lot.
Right.
um I've pulled from my doula certifications and personal studies, and from living abroad to get a deeper, even from as a mother in the birthing process. I pull from all these areas to be able to listen to the needs of what my clients are saying secretly to themselves. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Almost like a energy whisperer to a degree. Like, I know what you're saying, I hear you, but I also feel what you're not saying. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to the initial investment, typically Reiki is like $97 for an hour session. My Reiki sessions are $500. And they're like, well, what the hell I get for that? Like, our flesh will buck up real quick. Like, what is that about? But I might not can justify it fully for you, because your own spending habits that's your business.
Right.
What I can guarantee is that most, if not 90% of my clients have left knowing themselves differently, listening to their bodies differently. They left honoring their own desires and their pleasures, unapologetically.
Mm-hmm.
They've given themselves permission to release things that aren't serving them, that has been plaguing their subconscious,
Mm-hmm.
preventing them from really taking the leaps that they really want to take. And mind you, these are already people who have defied the odds. Like, these are people who has already become an anomaly and different in their own industries, to where they stick out like a sore thumb. And I'm able to come to them and like, you just not getting started, little baby. Like, you got so much more to do, but it doesn't require you to sacrifice. I think one of the things I pride myself on in my sessions is that little minor sacrifice of finances is not it like I mean, the total awareness to change your life, not just for yourself, but for your lineage. you know, and honoring yourself differently, and the lineages you're connected to, giving them the possibility to change and choose themselves, you know,
I got
trusting your.
to correct you. You know,
Oh,
I'm good for that.
I know. I was like, oh, what we do?
So it's not a minor sacrifice, it's an investment. There's a difference. Sacrifice means you're giving up something.
Mm,
An investment, you're investing in yourself. You're investing in the person you are to become. You're investing in the future, not just for you, like you said, it's an investment for the lineage. So it's not a sacrifice. Sacrifice is like, oh well, I could have went and did X, Y, and Z, but I came over here. I invested in my education.
yes,
Follow me? I invested to make sure I had a roof over my head. This is an investment in the well-being, whole being. I'm not. It is well-being, but the whole being, WHOLE being of one's existence. So it's an investment. It's not a sacrifice.
I love that. And I'm so glad you shared that. Because one of the other things that I love about our interaction too is that after our first session, I told Jocelyn, I was like, you need to go to therapy. I tell all my clients to go to therapy, but I was like, you should go to therapy. And I remember popping into her store, and she was her restaurant, and she was behind the counter on the computer, like, I'm filling out this long intake form, but I'm gonna get it done. And ever since then, Jocelyn, you go to therapy every week, right?
Yep, every week, every Wednesday.
And how has that been? So, just to even give a clear perspective, in our sessions, it's not about what I can provide for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's about what tools and resources can we pull together to make sure that you're always walking in your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that's not going to always come from me. And it shouldn't always come from me. Anyone that is supporting you emotionally, energetically, even in any area of your life,
Mm-hmm.
should be able to give you resources for full support.
Mm-hmm.
And therapy, I could say that we've done a lot of work together too, but me and Jocelyn's therapist be on one accord and we don't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
So how has that journey been, having not just one form of support, but now multiple ways to be supported in the way that you make decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and has accepted new opportunities that have been coming your way ever since?
I would say, and this is the first time I've experienced the Reiki experience, right? I've had therapists in throughout my life, so the being in therapy is nothing new. But I will tell you this: when because just like in dating, you date your therapist to make sure you have the right one that teams up with you. And one of the main questions she asked me on the intake process is, "Why was I coming?" And my answer was to get to the best version of me. And she basically was like, "Oh, we about to work together." And one thing that she says all the time, and she speaks to, is, "I am enough. I am enough." So through my Reiki experience, there are things that are deep seated that are coming out and coming that I could think about in passing, and they may keep me up for nights at a time, and I can't figure it out on my own. Or it's like the Rubik's Cube. You just can't get to all them colors on the one side, on all the sides at the same time, but you keep working at it.
Right.
And sometimes you just need a little bit of help to twist it one way to help you to really see the pattern, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what therapy has is provide, it's like that balance. So there's some things that come up in Reiki about my past, or even how I'm dealing with certain situations, that now I go to my therapist and I'm like, this came out of my journaling, or this came out in the session, or we could just be talking. I'm like, that's what that meant. And so it's like the yin to the yang. It's like the peanut butter to the jelly. It's like the ham to the burger. It's just going hand in hand in the edification of this walk that I'm on.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. It's been difficult. Anybody ask me in business, what's your biggest challenge? I am my biggest challenge. I need to get the hell out my own way. And this process has allowed me to get the hell out my own way because God has gifted me with all the tools and resources that I am afforded to take this journey with. And I'm the one who's self doubting. I'm the one who's self sabotaging, looking for the other shoe to drop when grace abounds. When I'm standing where I'm supposed to stand, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And yes, things will happen, but it
Mhm.
puts me in a better position on how I choose to react to those things. Because it's
Mhm.
not the things that happen, it's the way that we react. It's about those emotions and understanding that we have a myriad of emotions because it makes us who we are. But then what's the reaction to those emotions? Is it okay to cry? Absolutely. But I'm not going to cry forever.
Right.
I get up and keep going. You fall, you dust yourself off, and you keep moving forward. My
Yeah.
mother, my mother would tease me since I was a little girl, and she said, "You're like a cat. You got more than 9 lives, because every time you fall, you end up back on not even all fours, but on your 2 legs, standing straight up." And I think that speaks to the resilience that's innate. And sometimes we have to be reminded of how powerful we are, from whence we've come,
Mhm.
everything that we are. And for me, one is telling me, you that thing, right? And then in the other space, it's telling me, okay, so this is how you rationalize it. This is a different perception. Maybe you should look at it this way. And so what it does is it's the grounding before the takeoff.
Mhm.
And the two is that balance to get me grounded so that I can get ready for this private jet that's getting ready to take off.
Listen, because I want to be included. I want to be on the private jet too, because I know you're gonna get one. Um,
I know I'm gonna get one too.
listen, I love that because so in the energy session, so the Reiki, I'm very much able to help you, like she said, get to the main, like the main points. And the people have a lot of challenges with therapy and finding therapists. I don't think that there's enough education on how to utilize it, like publicly, especially for Black women, because we're taught we can do it all. We gonna figure it out.
Superwoman.
Huh?
Superwoman.
Yeah, and then we wear it as a badge of honor, tied and raggedy on the inside. Like, listen, it's only so
And
much.
outside.
Raggedy inside and out, because it's only so much that we can take. And so to open up and know that you're worthy to be supported in all these areas, it is life changing. That alone, like before we even get to the work itself and acknowledging these pain points and reprogramming our mindset and our subconscious to respond differently, because you don't know you respond differently until you have to,
Mm-hmm.
until something comes up and it's trying to knock you off your square. You're like, you know what? No, I remember where that came from. I choose to respond differently.
Mm-hmm.
I choose to protect my peace and my energy in a different type of way. And it gives you back ownership over yourself, over your mind, over your body, because we're always remembering the ways in which we done messed up, the
Mm-hmm.
ways in which things didn't go our way, but we're not always reminded of every time we have to make a decision, it's not just on our behalf, it's because we're helping this person, doing this for that person. You know what I'm saying? So that consideration isn't that far away if you're the one facilitating it. You got to know you have those options as well. So in our sessions, to get to the root of some things and then use therapy to process it and dismantle it, and you allowing yourself to get back into prayer. Like prayer is a big part of healing too.
Mm-hmm.
Like coaching people to be in a constant state of prayer. And when you don't know, God, I don't know, I ain't got it today.
Mm-hmm.
And then being open, because once you can admit that you don't have it and feel safe in that decision, then the answer is right on the other side of that. The agitation is because you're trying to get something out of nothing. You already know you ain't got it. So why you keep forcing it?
But
Learning.
you do have it. You do have it, but you got to get out the way to get to it.
Right. So surrendering is a part of getting, is a surrendering is a part of the answer too.
Yeah.
letting go. We always on go, and so letting things just be what it's going to be outside of trying to control it. And a lot of control comes from protecting yourself.
Think
So
about it this way. Have you ever, um, for me, glasses, phone, or whatever the case, you're in a room and you can't find that thing you're looking for, and then
mhm.
finally you just sitting like, and the whole time it was sitting right there.
Right. Oh, I'd be mad at those instances.
But again, it's forcing. You're forcing. I gotta get out of here all the time. I gotta find it. I gotta find it. But then when you go, oh hell, it was right there.
The whole time.
That's that whole process is how because I can only relate to me. Well, how when I know that I gotta go somewhere and sit down.
Mhm.
So what you talked about the things that we have been able to break through on. So, and I don't even think I've told you this. I may have a couple of weeks ago with the project that I'm working on. I think I may have. I got an email because I'm thinking I'm easy flowing, everything is going, the boat's moving. I'm ready.
Mhm.
I get an email, and what I thought I had, I no longer have. Right?
Mhm.
Yes, I have told you that story. And the numbers went from this to that, and I had the whole breakdown. Right?
Yeah.
And in that breakdown, it was like you said, you had to get into that battle. You had that whole conversation with yourselves. So the
Mhm.
physical self was fighting with the spiritual self, and the tears and the frustration and the high blood pressure and the headache and the anxiety attacks and all that stuff is occurring in that moment, right? To the point where the answer was prayer. Okay, Lord, it's obvious I don't have the answers. It's obvious I don't have the resources. And you are my total source. So go into a point of meditation, go into a point of prayer, then going into a point of journaling, and then just opening yourself up. And it's like different things just dropping your spirit, just dropping your spirit, just dropping your spirit. And then by the time that whole episode was over, the peace came. The peace that surpassed any understanding because I still didn't have none. It
Right.
still didn't change what was on the paper, you know?
Yeah.
But I moved myself out the way because this little thing they say as small as mustard seed, that ounce of faith, the guy brought me to it, he'll bring me through it. He doesn't give a vision without provision. All that stuff and all those proclamations that I say to everybody else, it was in that midnight hour that I had the choice on how I was going to react to these emotions. And with that, and with the different things and the different phases and the different things I'm learning about myself and the environment and all that good stuff, it put me to a place where it's like, okay, let me get out the way. And getting out the way, something new has evolved,
Right.
bigger than what I could even imagine. And what I thought it was for was to cover money. And
Mhm.
I tell you, the money was already covered. It was like that pen that I was
See?
looking for, and it was sitting there anyway. And then when I look at the bigger scope of things, it's like, for me, through the breaking is when God truly gets his glory. Because he breaks us down to rebuild us, to remind us it ain't about me. It ain't about you. It's about the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? And so that was his way of snatching me up. And I hate God whoopings. I abhor them.
Oh, he beat me up yesterday, but we ain't here to talk about that today. But they be real.
So you get that whooping, and like it was little, you get that whooping, and they just pat your butt and say, "Go on and do what I told you to do." So I'm going on and doing what he told me to do, but at the same time, got that little physical voice going, "Girl, you ain't got enough time for this. Girl, ain't nobody gonna say nothing about all the noise."
Mhm.
And you just have to silence that noise, get yourself out the way, and just watch God work and open doors and open opportunities, and folks that you never thought would speak highly of her are now speaking highly of you,
Mm.
and folks that you never thought that you would see getting along, just for the mere fact that you got out of the way and you understood the assignment and did what you were told to do, instead of forcing, trying to find a pen that was sitting in front of you the whole daggone time.
So even with understanding the assignment, right? Now, if you've been here the whole time, we done talked about how Joslyn is a community leader. She's now a developer because she's developing her own space from the ground up for Jay's Breakfast Club and all of the mentorship and entrepreneurship and community development. Like Jocelyn, she did a TEDx and Gary. Damon John is her one of her mentors. She's working in all these spaces and giving back, not just through her business, but in as you can tell by the way she speaks, she's a whole preacher out here. You know what I'm saying? Encouraging people through the word. You know what I'm saying? Seeing people gifts and enlightening them, and with all this responsibility. I mean, think about it. That's a lot of responsibility for one person. That's a lot of tapping into different resources and things like that. And I'm saying all this to say, to paint the picture that for anybody out here watching and you have all these things going on, when it comes to healing, it's not about the strategy in which you set forth in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
because you've mastered it. I tell my clients this all the time. I'm not here to assist you in finding resources for money or to develop a new business plan. Now, we do like some sessions with people when they want to have these large financial goals. It's like, okay, let's talk about it. And I'm not asking you to be nosy, or I'm not asking you as a business strategist. I'm asking you so I can see what energy you're putting into this, like how excited you are, what makes you nervous, or what is bringing you agitation around certain numbers. Like some people might be comfortable with like $1,000, but if I say $10,000, their body cringe, and it's like, okay, let's process this. You know, the strategy to getting to the higher version of yourself or to all of these accolades in front of you is not in your knowledge. Because if you made it this far, you got it.
Mm-hmm.
You got the resources, you got the tools. But here's the thing, sometimes we're presented with everything we need and have no way to integrate, to make it work for ourselves, to make it work on our behalf, or to make it work to our benefit. We're just sitting here with a ton of resources and game plans, but we don't know the action steps through worthiness and grace and forgiveness and consideration and confidence, you know, and nurturing. It's the things that you don't think about that's going to help you to be successful. It's the time when you can come into the shop and you lay down and you probably ain't slept good all week and now you got a sound healing meditation, or just the fact that you don't even have to think in this moment. Like, all right, sis, I got you, just relax and we'll listen to your body
Mm-hmm.
so they can speak on your behalf. Because your key to making six figures isn't because you done been to every business coach and you got this dope game plan. It might be because you need a hug.
Mm-hmm.
It might be because you need to pray a little bit more. It
Mm-hmm.
might be because you're not being honest about what you're going to do with the money.
Mm-hmm.
You might be holding back, like, you know, I would like the bag. Like, I want to buy a designer bag, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, this gonna bring agitation to somebody else. You're not getting the money because you won't own the fact that that's what you desire.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get in tune with why you love these things, or why you love what you love without having to explain it to people. And the biggest part is why you love yourself,
Mm-hmm.
finding every reason to love on yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
even not feeling ashamed to need that to be complimented. You ever seen, like, got excited to see somebody and they was excited to see you back? All type of magic happened within that.
Yeah.
So yes, you doing a lot of this on your own, but we need each other. We need safe spaces. We need spaces to be like, you know what, I'm motherfucking tired.
Mm-hmm.
I need a break.
And
Because
understanding when you need what you need, because that's the other difference. A lot of times, especially for alpha females, we got it, we good. No, you're not. I don't need this. I don't need that. I don't need no man, honey. I need my man.
listen, your heart's saying a whole different tune. Okay?
You know what I'm saying? And the you cutting your nose off to spite your face, and it may be the proclamation that you're making in that moment. is your, what did my therapist call it? It's the you're avoiding you're avoiding the elephant in the room because you focused on not dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we don't know that we don't know that we don't know. But once we get to know and we get comfortable with it, and I'm not saying comfortable as in accepting, but comfortable to know that you got some work to do.
Yeah. And it's ever evolving too, you
Yeah.
know. Sometimes we pigeonhole ourselves in these moments of like what coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Hmm.
I was talking to a good friend over the weekend. I was telling him, like, yeah, I know things are bad. Mind you, I need you to be taking my own advice, but I know things feel bad, but you're still the best version of yourself today.
Hmm.
You
I don't
just
know where
survived
I
all
don't
of
know
the things
where
that
I
came
was.
your way.
I don't know where I was, but this happened recently, and they were saying replace the word should with could. So every time you say should, just eliminate that from your vocabulary and say could. I don't know where that was, but that happened recently. Yeah, so eliminate the shoulds from your vocabulary and make it an opportunity
Yeah,
as
because you
a
have the
could.
tools now to do it, and I
Mhm,
think we're not really taught that too. Like, what could have been wasn't because you wasn't prepared to do so. But
mhm,
now that you know, and you can decide that this is what I want to do going forward, the
mhm.
forgiveness is in moving forward,
Yeah.
knowing that you have the opportunity to do so. You know, and so I also like to talk about. Oh, you okay? Upgrading your intuition, meaning like the way you used to think isn't the way that you think now, or trusting that you won't make the same mistakes that you did before, and even if you do, you have to allow yourself the forgiveness, because we're our biggest enemies when it comes to sabotaging and tearing down. Most people that do it outwardly, like, I can only imagine what you do inwardly to yourself. You know what I'm saying? We're so hard on ourselves. So even with that, I want to say, ask, is there like maybe a few, I would just say two or three big shifts that you've seen personally with yourself since we've been working together over the past season?
A, grace abounds. B, grace abounds. C, grace abounds.
And what, okay, tell the people what grace abounds mean to you.
Like attracts like. And so therefore, if I'm in a space where if I'm loving and I'm giving and I have all the right intentions, that grace is gonna automatically come back to me because like attracts like. And so what that means is, from a spiritual standpoint, we always talk about his grace and his mercy. And we also talk about we're created in his own image.
Mm-hmm.
So if God can extend grace and mercy to me, why can't I extend it to myself? Grace abounds. So the intent behind it, the the love that I talk about, the love to live to love, it goes further than me exalting that or put that on somebody else. I've got to put it on myself.
Yeah.
I can't expect you to love me if I can't love myself. You know, I can't expect you to forgive me if I can't forgive myself. I can't expect you to learn from your experiences if I refuse to learn from my experiences. Grace abounds. So once you get into that lane, you understand that I matter. Just the mere fact that I know and I can sit in the realness that I matter, then I don't question whether or not you matter. It's
Right.
automatically given. So for me, this journey has taught me be kinder to yourself, and I catch myself all the time. Um, and I'm working on it. I'm going walking today, by the way.
Yes, it's beautiful outside.
Yeah, me and the dog have a date later on, so we're going walking.
Nice.
Um, but be kinder to yourself. If you're not the ideal weight that you are, That's fine. But be kind to yourself because that body got you to where you are, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know a certain thing, be kind to yourself. That's why they make Google. That's why they make books.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself, you know? If there's something that you want to attain, don't berate yourself because you haven't achieved it. Be
Mm-hmm.
kind to yourself, give yourself grace, set a plan, and dig into it.
Yeah.
That's the essence of what I've gotten over these last 3 months. Because I could be very hard on myself. I am a perfectionist to my own right. Even when customers, my husband would always say, "Don't read the reviews. Don't read the reviews."
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, I want to fix everybody's perception of me, but their perception is based on their experiences. And if they're in a not so positive place in their life, no matter what I do, no matter
Mm-hmm.
what I offer, it's not going
Yeah.
to make them feel any better. And so, therefore, I give myself the grace to grow. My
Mm-hmm.
name is Joslyn. I am not Jesus, so I am not perfect. And I give myself grace to understand that I'm not perfect, and the grace to grow. More importantly, the prayer of serenity, knowing the things that I can change and change them, and the things that I can't change, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. If you don't think I'm pretty, that's on you because I think I'm gorgeous.
And period. And
I
do.
give myself grace.
It is.
I give you grace. You may need to go to the eye doctor.
Listen.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And is yes. Yes to all the things. So in closing, would you recommend Reiki to your friends and
No,
your
I'm just kidding.
colleagues? I was like, wow.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, we are all on this journey, and I don't know if it's you or the therapist that says it, but it's not. It's the therapist. It's
Mhm.
the race is not given to the quick nor the strong, but the one who endures. And just like we have to feed our body every day, we have to hydrate ourselves every day. So be it, we have to feed our spirit and have a better um, position ourselves to have grace with ourselves. And if you don't know that grace, you need to find ways to get to it. And if you knew it, you'd already be to it. So there's something for all of us. And for me, Reiki, along with therapy, along with just getting okay with being my skin, getting okay with, oh, I am smart. Oh, I do know how to add 2 plus 2. Oh, I'm good. And it's okay. And for me, my journey now has moved to when Chiquita says, you good, to be okay with her saying that I'm good. And instead of cowering or questioning, well, why she think I'm good? So you may even be to a place where you understand it, but you still are uncomfortable. Those are the reasons that I think Reiki is important. But more importantly, we all have a journey. We all have a life to live. We all have goals. And then at certain times, we have things that keeps us from getting to where we want to be. And you can try to read as many self-help books as you want, but until you get to the source and you really find out what's driving, why do I have headaches? Why are my knees hurting like this? Your
Mhm.
body is trying to tell you something that you can't understand, and sometimes you need a translator, and that
Yes, come
is
on,
that translation.
translator. Make it all clear. Like what they said, make it plain. Okay. And even in that sense, with working with people, because all my clients know I cuss a lot and curse on their behalf as well. But but to simplify, because 9 times out of 10, if you're my client, you already overthink it, overanalyze, and over strategize. So let's just keep it simple so that you
Mhm.
can apply it, move forward, tackle just move forward openly and honestly, and
Get the
being
hell out the way.
yeah. But see, sometimes people think getting out of the way, getting out of your own way is not handing over your intuition.
Mhm.
Getting out of your own way is not handing over your authority and what you know. Getting
Absolutely.
out of your own way is accepting that you've done your best, you've
And it's
utilized all
okay.
your resources and your tools, and now it's out of my hands.
Mhm,
That's getting out of the way. Don't sacrifice your time, your peace, your space for anyone
mhm,
for the sake of getting out of your way. You know what you know. You got to own it though.
mhm,
And once you own it, you can walk away like, either it's gonna work or it's not. It ain't no middle ground. Like if it's not gonna work, then
mhm,
something else is on the other side that's better. And even in the process of it working, you
mhm,
still gotta give what grace abounds,
mhm,
because it might end up being something completely different than you planned for, greater than you even imagined. You
mhm.
got to be open to that as well.
Chiquita, I will add this. So I mentioned my son, and his last words to me were, "Mama, I love you, but I'm done living." And if you go back through all his social media around that time, it was about getting to being stress free, right? And so one of the lessons that I have been attempting to communicate since his death is, don't make permanent decisions for temporary situations. It sounds good, right? It sounds real
Mhm.
quirky, but like you saying, the getting out of the way space, sometimes that temporary situation seems so tragic. And for me, you know, if I break a nail, I break a nail. But if that individual has invested their whole life in cultivating that nail and making sure that nail was everything, the breaking of that nail will break their spirit. And that's what gets me to the love to live. And when it gets hard, tie a knot in it, and you have to live for those things that you love. But again, if you can't find the love of self, all of that is just rhetoric. And whatever your struggle is, whatever it is that's got you on the journey, got you on the side of the road trying to catch your breath, Reiki is that thing that is that what you call it, the inhaler,
Mhm.
that extra breath to say, okay, let me just regroup. What around me? What got me over here? It might be you got asthma, and so now you didn't know you had asthma. Now you need an inhaler, and the Reiki provides that inhaler. And then the therapist will come along and say, "Well, this is why you didn't know you had asthma, because nobody ever defined it for you.
Mhm.
Not a bad thing, but this is what you have to do to control it." So I just, in my spirit, that just came to me. Right now, Jalen is all over this room and in this conversation, that we have to be mindful of ourselves and be mindful of all of the burdens that we carry unnecessarily and necessarily, and how we choose to manage them. And sometimes you can't do it alone. A lot of times you can't do it alone. And that's why the world is a big old puzzle and we need each other.
We do. We definitely do need each other. Well, I'm glad to have you on the team of, not just as a client, but as a resource to refuel for myself in the midst of my own personal challenges. I'm not one of those practitioners who think that I got all the answers. I cuss too much to know that that ain't true. But to know, like, not only can I provide a safe space, but I can lean into the development of safe spaces that's around me as well. Like, we do need each other. And as quiet as it's kept, I'm learning and strengthening my intuition through your vulnerability. And that's why we are complementing each other in the healing space. You know what I mean? And I'm honored to have you as a client. I'm honored to be welcomed into your spaces. And I'm so excited for everything that you have coming up, what you're going to do. If you are watching this, you can definitely follow Jay's Breakfast Club on Instagram. Um, you can follow Jocelyn as well. She has a fundraiser coming up for buying back the block, I believe,
This
about
is
buying
Gary.
Gary. This
Mm-mm.
is Gary. So
This is
she have This is Gary,
Gary.
again, a community activist and developer for, and representation of what Gary can be and should be and was growing to be, laying down the foundation through works and prayer to make sure that it happened and to call into people. So if you ever been interested in wanting to give back or you have any sponsorship opportunities or want to connect with Joslyn to help support, this is Gary, which is coming up in June, I believe.
Mhm.
And definitely stay tuned. Follow her, follow Chase Breakfast Club, and thank you so much for spending an hour with me. I love
You're
you
welcome.
so much.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, I plan on having another interview this week, hopefully. If not, I'll be back for sure next Tuesday with another Gary. I don't know, you know how they be saying Chicagoan. I don't know what the
Garyite.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Gary
Yeah.
White, Cam, she's an amazing massage
Yes.
therapist, and she recently had became certified in my program, Inner Opulence, which
Nice.
makes her a Reiki One self mastery practitioner of
Thank
herself.
you.
Yes, and she's so fun and so amazing. So next Tuesday for sure, I'll be back interviewing her,
And
and
she has
she's a part
amazing
of
hands.
yeah, it's just a beautiful soul all around. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for these case studies and to introduce people who I've been able to work with who are now dear to my heart and a part of my family with everyone here. If you've been watching, thank you. I am Shakita Lewis. And if you want to be in contact with me or have any questions, you can definitely book a discovery call if you're interested in Reiki. You can go to my website, www.yayosgarden.com. That information will be in the comments once we close out the live. Other than that, happy Tuesday. And until next time, peace.